of the Father and the Son and the Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for everything that you've done in our lives, oh Lord. Father, we thank you for this time that you've given us and for bringing us together at this hour. Oh Lord, Father, we pray to you at this time that we are coming to start these discussions. Father, we pray for your Holy Spirit to descend upon us. Send forth your Holy Spirit to guide and protect us, to lead us in all that we do, and guide and protect us throughout this time. We cast all satanic plans, all demonic spirits in Jesus' name. But we'll call upon your Holy Spirit to be with us. Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you so much. And we want to welcome all the teachers that are joining from the different parts of the country. You are most welcome. Teacher Henry, can I test your audio?
Yes, please.
Okay, you're very clear.
Am I clear?
Yes, very clear, and we are happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining in. Over to you, Mr. Teacher Henry, to take us through.
Good evening, should I say. Good evening, everyone. My name is Henry Kajimu. Like I have been introduced, I'm glad to be here. I want to thank Mr. Kaziva, Stephen, for the opportunity that you are giving me here to meet with these different people from the different places. I'm very glad, I'm grateful. Our interest this evening is to talk about mathematics. I want us to share a few things about mathematics and to see some of the do's and also the don'ts that we may come across this, we may decide to share this evening. I think I'll be allowed to give you an opportunity so that you also hear, so that I also hear from your side. But for now, first allow me to say a few things before you go ahead to say what you may want to say. Ours is to share a little bit of the mathematics papers. I will begin with the fact that our two papers, for both of them, or for each of them, we shall need 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that tells us that in 5 hours, that is 2.5 hours at 9, and 2 hours, 30 minutes at 2. When I say at 9, I mean at 9 a.m. because we are allowed. I hope my network is stopped by the call because I get it from the phone. But Stephen, is there a way I can get feedback so that I get to know if they can hear me? Also, that I get to know if I have issues. Stephen? Is Stephen
Teacher Elisa? Teacher Elisa? Teacher Elisa?
Yes, Mr. Kaziba.
Yes, kindly give Mr. Henry right.
Wants you to do a particular way. And our job today is
Stephen, can you hear me? Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I think I've connected back again. I'm sorry about that. I said my phone gives me network, and when someone calls on it, I get issues. But I'm very sorry for that. I hope I stabilize so that I don't get other phone calls. I was saying that, okay, I think I can hear you from the messages. Okay, people have already started talking about some of this. I hope now you can get me. Stephen, is there a way we can, I think I should allow the participants.
Yes.
That, I think I should allow the participants to unmute so that they can feed me back. Okay, let us just be organized so that we do not disturb. I was saying that you have 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes at 9 a.m. And you have another 2 hours and 30 minutes at 2 p.m., giving you a total of 5 hours in which you have to account for your 4 years of UCE, of O-level mathematics. So you will need only 5 hours to show that actually you have been working, you have studied this level. Now, you will take a note that you will need 40% of the 2.5 hours, and 40% of the 2.5 hours is 1 hour. Those are 60 minutes to answer the questions of section A. That leaves you with the 1.5 hours, that is 90 minutes, to answer sections of section B. Now, you will note that in section A, you have, in the first place, 10 questions. These are compulsory questions in the first place. And for these 10 questions, that is the 1 hour that you have to answer the 10 questions, meaning that one question will require you to use 6 minutes. Then for section B questions, where you have 7 of them, from which you choose 5, you will have 5 questions in 90 minutes, meaning that each question is 18 minutes. The time I'm talking about here, the 6 minutes and 18 minutes, is the maximum time. But on average, a person should use slightly less, because you will need to take care of going through your work, going back a little bit, and so on and so forth. So if you use 5 minutes for a section A question, that will be good enough. And if you use about 15 minutes for the section B question, that is also good enough. I know that many of us can be very fast. And someone can use 4 minutes for a section A question and about 12 minutes. That is good, and that is also good. But do not be very fast, because it is also important to be accurate. Apart from those who may be endowed, gifted, that you can write as fast and remain accurate, some of us may need to use an average 4 to 5. Otherwise, a person who uses less time is very fast. And as long as you're very fast, chances are very high that you are prone to making error. So do not rush, but make sure that you fit within the time that you have been given. It is your duty, I should note it here, to time yourself. It is your duty to ensure that you time yourself. Do not wait for the invigilator. The invigilator may forget. The invigilator may be taken by other things. Be the one to time yourself. If I give you a personal experience, I personally time myself for the first questions. For example, for number 1, I have to ensure that I fit within time. For number 2, I have to ensure that I fit within time. By the time you answer the first 3 or 4 questions, the speed, you will have picked the speed. The speed will be now automatic, that you will need to check maybe at the end of a section or after some time. The moment you are keen on the first 2, 3 questions, you pick the speed and you get that tempo, you get used to that, and that will now take you. And you may now not need to check at the end of every question. You may now need to check after some time, and then you see where you are. So by the time the invigilator comes in to remind you about time, he's actually doing a lot of nothing, because you are very much aware, you are very much taking charge of your time. I want also to continue and say, look at the instructions that you have. Some of those I have given here. You will see that sometimes you are told to answer all, that you see one of the instructions tells you answer all questions in section A. I have already told you that section A questions are compulsory. So that is why we are answering all of them. So that is not news. We have been doing this. We train through this. But still look at the instructions, because you never can tell when they change. Some people go with the instructions, and when they reach the instructions have changed, and everyone says, oh, the students have got a challenge because they have changed the instructions. That should not be a challenge. Please look at them. I am using what we have been using. It does not mean that that is what we are going to use for 2023, but chances are very high that most likely that is what we are going to have. So section A questions are compulsory, and you will choose 5 from section B. Please do not choose more. Choose 5. It is very clear there that any additional question or questions that are answered will not be marked. This works for section B only, because section A is compulsory. So if there are any additional questions that you attempt, these are not going to be marked. Now, be very careful. What do I mean when I say be very careful? If I write number 10, and many of us have the tendency to copy the question. Did I say number 10? No. If I write number 11, I am interested in a section B question. If I write number 11 and I copy the question, unless the examiner is very lenient, you have attempted that question. So if you don't want him to consider it, please go back and draw a line through, make a stroke through that work that shows that you have crossed it. Otherwise, that number 11 will be taken to be your first attempt. So if the examiner takes this number 11 and you have written a few things down, and then you have gone to another number 12 and you are saying, I haven't attempted this 11, he will count it. And when he reaches the sixth attempted number, he will cross out that the sixth attempted number. So please be very careful when you are attempting these 5 questions, because the examiner can count any 5 depending on how you are presenting your work. So if you have not attempted number 11, make a stroke through that work so that someone is aware that this has been crossed out. Otherwise, he will count the first 5 numbers and he will cross out all the other numbers thereafter. So if you attempt a question, please make sure it is clear. And if you change your mind on a question, please either if you change your mind, the chances are very high that you have written something there. Cross it out. I would want to add here a little bit that I would suggest that you answer all the questions. Yes, I'd suggest, this is, sorry about that. All the necessary calculations must be done in the answer booklet that is provided. Therefore, no paper should be given for rough work. This is another instruction that we usually get. And this is almost obvious. If you are given booklets, that is where your work is expected. There are candidates who love adding pieces of paper in this work. If you smuggle a piece of paper to the exam room, then you are going to be taken note of at this point. Even tearing out a piece of paper from a booklet is not allowed, because I don't want you to say that that is not allowed. That is right in the booklets. If one book from the other booklet, you have no choice but to write in the full booklet. I have got a notice here that my network is not stable. Hopefully now I am there. Okay, so if you need one sheet, please use the whole booklet. You can't tear that one sheet and attach it to another booklet. So let your work be in the booklet, not anywhere else. We have an instruction that tells us squared paper is provided. Please, what happens? Very many times we are given the booklets and we do not see this squared paper. It is our duty to put up the hand and request for the squared paper. This is not only for squared paper, but for any material that you may need to use during a paper. Please put up your hand and request for it. If it is allowed, the invigilator will give it to you. Do not smuggle things in, or do not say, I have not been given. When you are not given, request. As long as you are told, this must be provided. Now, the calculators is no big issue because not very many of us have the programmable ones. But if you have it, please do not carry it. Your calculators must not be programmable. But what I wanted you to note here is the bit of mathematical tables with a list of formulae. That is important. Please take a note of the formulae that are in the tables. Those you are free to copy from the tables. Nobody should stop you. But it is one thing to have the formulae in the tables, and it is another for the candidate to know where the formulae are. Can you make friends today? Can you make friends now with the mathematical tables so that you are aware of what is where in the tables? When the fever for the exam comes in, you may fail to find some of the things. But if you are already aware of where they are, then you will not get any challenge. So I request that you get used to using these tables and to using these formulae so that you know how to find them and where to find the tables. Where to find the formulae in the tables. Whatever you do not have in the tables, then you must have mastered. Please make an effort. I don't want to use the word cram, but to master those that you may not find, whatever you may not find, the formulae that you may not find in the mathematical tables. It is your duty to get used to the tables. Even if anyone gave you the formula today, those the very people may not give you the formula on that day, on the day of your exam, come October. Please get used to the tables yourself so that you know where the formula are. We also have an instruction that tells us to begin each answer on a fresh sheet of paper. I want to mention here that some of this is not very much followed. You are not going to be punished for not beginning on a fresh sheet of paper. But our assumption is that if you begin on a fresh piece of paper, your work is easy to look for. And I want to tell you that as you answer whatever you are answering, as you attempt these papers, it is very important that you show or you are clear. Let the examiner get to know where the work is. Do not hide your work. So one of the things that make your work easy to see is when you begin on a fresh sheet of paper. I want to tell you that as we mark, or as examiners do the marking, they are doing what you are very much aware of, what is called conveyor. They are marking in a conveyor belt. What do people do when they are doing conveyor belt? They share out numbers. If I am marking, I may take number 1 and take number 7 and also take number 8. So my numbers are 1, 7, and 8. Now another person may come with 2 and 4 and 5. and another 3, and 9 and 10. So I'm looking at, if I am marking 1, 7, and 8, I will get your answer booklet, look for number 1, mark it. Record the marks in a grid. Look for number 2, mark it. Record the marks in a grid. Look for number 3, look for my numbers, mark my numbers, and pass on the paper to my neighbor. My neighbor will also look out for their numbers and do the same. So that is how conveyor belt is. So it is very important that when I am looking for number 7, it is easy for me to find. It is very important that when I'm looking for number 8, it is easy for me to find. So make your work easy to find. That's the reason why you are told to begin the answer on a fresh sheet of paper. But whatever it is nobody is going to punish you if you don't start on a fresh sheet of paper. But can you ensure that it is easy for you, for the examiner, find the number? I want to talk a little bit about, there are also other instructions which you can also look at and see what they deserve. I want to talk about presentation of your work. What are some of the things I would want to see in your work? Please let it be neat and let it be clear. I want to say that when your work is neat, the examiner is going to be biased. And this is positive bias. The examiner already says this is an organized girl. The examiner already says this is an organized younger man. And if you are organized, if you win the heart of the examiner, chances are very high that he's going to be keen as he marks your work. You may not get free marks, and I don't want to say that it is nice to get free marks. It is not good at all. But the chances of you getting what you deserve are higher. When someone whose work is not neat, the chances of those people are getting less than what they deserve are higher. Mark my words, I am talking about what you deserve. That if a person deserved it to obtain, to get 82, but this person is not neat and is not clear, this may bias the examiner. You may find him crossing at a stage where he would have marked. And I want to tell you, it is to your disadvantage. You may get marks less than what you deserve to get. So try your level best to be clear. I also want to say, do your best and be organized. Can you be organized? When I want to find the work, let me be able to find it. Otherwise, someone can check through a booklet and throw it the other side, saying his work the work that he wants to mark has not been attempted. Yet that work is in that booklet. Please ensure that that work is clear. I think this takes me to the organization and neatness, take me to numbering. Number your work and number it properly. That is very, very important. Anyway, I will talk about numbering somewhere as I continue. I took note here that examiners are human who also get tired. If I gave you an account of an examiner's day, wake up like any other, examiners wake up like children. Mind you, these are teachers, these are parents, these are old people. We are old guys. Now, we wake up very early. By around 6, we are in the marking room. And we get our work and start on our work. Get a slight break for breakfast and continue. Get a slight break for break tea just to re-energize and continue. Another break for lunch. Another break in the evening for evening tea. Another break for supper. And then they will continue and close the day. An examiner's day can go up to 9 p.m. From around 5 or 5:30, from around 5. And all of us know that if at 5 you're seated on your desk doing the marking, you woke up earlier. You cannot tell me that you wake up at 5 and start marking at 5. So if you have to start marking at 5, means you woke up slightly earlier than that. Now, that is day 1, 5 to 9. Day 2, 5 to 9. Day 3, 5 to 9. Or even people stretch a little bit. They get tired. Remind you, these are old guys. They get tired. So it is very easy for this guy to look for the work and does not see it. Can you help him by making sure you are very organized and you are neat and clear? So that when he wants the work, he gets it and looks at it, awards his marks, and continues. Now, when it comes to dividing of a sheet of paper, I want to say that we are so used to this culture in our schools where we come from. Usually, we divide the sheet of the paper into 2 equal in the middle. That is the usual thing, that we divide the sheet of paper in the middle. If I could show you my page here, okay? If this was my page, definitely I have a margin on the left. Sorry about that. I definitely have a margin on the left. And I have a margin also on the right. That's usually how our sheets are. There's a margin on the left, there's a margin on the right. And in the middle is my working space. Now I have seen people who divide here in the middle and the right and do their work somewhere in the 2 spaces. Some of them even go ahead and draw two sheets there, and they will write on this on each of these sides of the, and they write somewhere there in the middle. So dividing their sheet of paper into two and writing on this one side and writing on the other side. I want to say, one, please make sure that your work or your page is not this equally divided, because under the normal, the space that you are leaving here, or the space that you are leaving where to write, this space here is not enough for your work under the normal. So you will congest your work here on this sheet of paper. And after that, the examiner is not supposed to write in your work, but has no space where to write, because you will write on some pages and some of the lines will come in longer than where you expect them to stop. Okay? So what do I personally, under the norm, what do I usually do personally? What I usually do is I divide, but not equally. Usually when I write from one side to the other, I'm not organized. So what do? Yes, I divide my piece of paper, but I do the division more on to the right-hand side than in the middle. I usually do not write in the middle, but closer in the right-hand side. When I do that, I find that this space that I have all until there is enough for me to organize my work. And that then means that you are leaving space. You have space on this side here for the examiner to award the marks. He's going to award his marks there. And again, the very space can be used if you need to do any calculations as your side work. So leave some space for your examiner to award you marks. So if he wants to give you an M1, no problem. You will put his M1 somewhere there, and you have no issues. M1, and you have no issues for that. And you award and say, yes, you have 4 marks. This is the equivalent to 4 marks. When is what? When is he not having any issues of space? But if he's to write his marks, and these marks mix up with your work, when it comes to checking and so on and so forth, chances are very high that you may miss out on some of the marks. Someone may not check if the examiner made a mistake somewhere. So this issue of dividing a sheet of paper in the middle is not, personally, I do not advise it. I don't advise you to do that because you do not get enough space for your work. I would want you to have enough space for your work so that you are comfortable and there's no work of yours that crosses the line to another side just because you divided in the middle and it was not enough. I want to mention a small thing on mixing up of sections. Please make an effort to ensure that section A is on its own and section B is in its space. When the sections are clearly separate, chances of an examiner missing out on some details are reduced. Do your best to have your section A and do your best to have your section B separate. When I have my section A here, good, well and good. If I have my section B there, well and good. There are some people who even go up and mix up numbers from the different sections. Just because you have numbered your work well, it doesn't give you it doesn't mean that you are now free to write whatever you have written anywhere. Not really. I want to tell you that yes, it is true. You have numbered your work properly, but even after numbering your work properly, make a deliberate effort to separate the sections. That's one. Secondly, would be very good if a number is answered to the end without mixing it with another number. If I started suppose I started my work with the question 3 here. Suppose this is my question 3. I answer somewhere there. I answer, and answer. And then I go to number 11. Remember, number 11 has part A. Now I am free to begin with the part B, somewhere there. And I'll answer here. Now I've seen people, after that, someone goes ahead and says, no, now let me go to number 5. And we'll answer number 5 somewhere there and mixes up things that way. It is very good that you have numbered your work properly. But can you also answer a question, complete it before you mix it up with another? And may you also avoid mixing up section A with section B. So a person is likely, I wanted to say, that suppose this is my 1 page, please. I said don't divide the page. So for me, I have two pages here. I don't know whether you understand me when I say I have 2 pages here. This is a different page from this other one. So suppose I answer number 11A here. This is my number 11A. Now, what do I expect? I get my 4 marks nicely, somewhere there. I get my 4 marks for number 11B. I have again my 4 marks for number 5. I have my 4 marks here for number 11A. Now I want to tell you what happens when it goes to the grid. I want to put my grid here. Have number 1 and the mark and my initials. I have number 2 and so on. These are supposed to go in order. Number 2. Then somewhere I will reach number 5. And I will reach Somewhere below, I'll reach number 11. They are in order. Now, when it comes to entering marks in the grid, I am coming here and saying, for number 1, I've given the candidate 4 marks. For number 5, I've given the candidate 4 marks, and I sign my initials there. My initials come in there, my initials come in there. Now, for number 11, it is very possible that this person comes here, writes 4 marks, goes, finds another 4 marks, and instead of adding the 2, to cross out this one, because the right thing is that this person should cross out this one and indicate that this number continues somewhere to another page, and then comes here again and crosses out this one and indicate that you have 8 marks in total. That is the right thing to do. So that he comes here and show that you got 8 marks. But it is also true, or it is very possible that this person can go to this number 11A and instead take it that you have attempted number 11 again. So this person can put an arrow and write there source to indicate that see another solution, see other solution. What is the meaning of see? This is source. This source, see other solution. What does it mean? It is telling you that you have repeated the question. So the person may look at these 4 marks and come here and say, I've already entered them. Instead of realizing that this is another 4 which should be added, he can easily say, I've already entered the 4 marks. So this is another solution, crosses it out and says, see the other solution somewhere on some other page. So it is to your disadvantage, and it may not be found out. You never can tell. I am very certain that, I want to say, UNEB does some very good work. It puts people to check, and these are supposed to find out some of these things. But you and I know that the checkers are not necessarily mathematics oriented. They are not the people who are good in math that check. So a checker may not notice that what the examiner indicated as another solution was actually not another solution, but a continuation of some solution. The checker may not find out that. With his very good spirit, with his very good checking, he may not be able to find out that. And who is the loser? That is where we are. If he does not find out, you stand to be the loser. So may I request that when you start on number 11 and say, yes, this is my number 11, that you do your best to have all the parts of number 11 on that page. This is number 11. It doesn't matter that you started with B, no problem. Go with your B. Then afterwards, go with your A. And after that, go with your C. And you have number 11 continuously. It may not be on the same page, but from one page to another page, without when it is still flowing, when it is still continuous. Otherwise, the moment you discontinue it at a certain stage, answer something else, come back to the number 11, you never can tell what may happen. You are at the mercy of Mr. Examiner. My prayer is that he's still very sober and can identify all that we expect him to identify. Otherwise, it is very possible for him to take it, to misunderstand it, and that will not be good. I want to talk about crossing or crossed work, crossing of work. Now, under the normal, when you cross the work, you have indicated to the examiner that this work is not needed. So the examiner will also go ahead and put a red line through across your work, just to show that, yes, I saw the work. Actually, they even write the word seen when the work is crossed. I don't know whether you are like me, and I want to believe you are. I have seen people who cross their work, and after a short while, get the same feeling that they had at the beginning, that they did not have to cross it. I don't know whether you have also seen the same. I have seen someone write work, cross it, and afterwards, I don't know whether you have seen it, this that I've seen. Someone is writing their work here. This is my work, number 11. Then I have work, I have work, I have work, another line of work, another line of work. You reach after that you cross. I don't need it. What is the examiner going to do? He will come and also cross. Now, I've seen people who come thereafter and start showing that, you know what? I think I crossed this work, but I needed not to cross it. So you find them crossing the crossed, I don't know what you may call that, uncrossing, trying to rub what they had crossed. What does this tell you? The mind opens up and says, I think you were right in the first place. And I want to appreciate our minds. Please, can you take it as very important? That first thought that you get is an important thought. Don't just discard it. Be very careful if you have to discard it. What do I advise? I am advising that when you want to change your mind, when your mind changes, please do not cross, but instead, do not cross, but instead, what are you going to do? Instead, write the next opinion without crossing. Let me make myself clear once again, because I mentioned that as I tried to organize my page here. and I saw I was not very clear. If you change your mind, it doesn't do any harm for you to just put the new opinion without crossing the old piece of work. It is very, very okay. What is it that I am saying here? Hope you can hear me. What I am saying here is that if I was attempting number 5, my sheet, my sheet is, this is my margin. Now I come here, this is number 5, my number 5. We go on, number 5, yes. Number 5. And I attempt number 5 here. Then as I underline at the answer, my mind says, no. You know this thing here? No. Then I say, you know what? I cross. I'm saying, please don't cross. Leave it and attempt number 5 here. Once, attempt again. Then do your work here as long as you label it properly and say, this is number 5. What is the examiner going to do? The examiner will come here with his ready pen and say, oh, this is M1. This is another M1. Another M1 and A1. And after that, you say, oh, you have 4 marks. Now, we will notice that you have attempted the number 5 again, and it is easy duty to come again and say, okay, M1, M0, here you made an error, or you thought differently, M0 and A0. My thinking is that this worker comes up to here. So here is saying, as Mr. Examiner is saying, these are 2 marks instead. And this is number 5, and the other one is also number 5. So it is his duty to come back and say, the first opinion was better. So I get rid of that, even that. And when I go to somewhere to the grid, I'll go and say, for number 5, my candidate has 4 marks, and I'll sign. So I will take the better opinion. Of those 2 opinions, I'll take the better opinion. Nobody is going to punish you for attempting this number without crossing. Now, what is my advice? If you can train yourself not to cross, start today. You don't have to cross your work if you change the opinion, except for section B, where you are changing the number attempted. If I do number 11 and I'm changing my opinion to number 13, that one I should cross out so that it is not counted. But if I try number 11 and I change the opinion for the same number 11, it is very okay for me to leave the first opinion uncrossed, and I number very well that this is still number 11 I'm attempting, and I give the second opinion. Nobody has a right and nobody is going to penalize me. I will have made the work of the examiner slightly tougher, but there's no problem. Let it be tough for him. It is none of your business. Why is it tougher? He's going to mark the number and mark it again. But you are not concerned about that. Let him do his dirty work. What is important is for you to get the best marks. And I want to tell you that this examiner will also be happy if he's giving you, if he's doing his best and is seeing that you are getting better marks. That is the trouble with the teachers. When it comes to you passing, he forgets all about the rest. He won't remember that he is toiling by marking and marking and marking the same work again. He won't. He will be happy that you are getting better marks after all. So if you can teach yourself to avoid crossing out work, please do. It is not necessary for you to cross your work. Not at all. Leave that work and continue without crossing. The examiner will mark it and will pick the better option or the better opinion, and will go with that opinion. Okay. Yes, someone is Sasengova making your noise. Okay. Let me continue. And to where? I am looking at I was giving my opinion when it comes to crossing out work. And I am saying, please, you don't have to cross your work. Leave it as it is. Okay. I said I will talk about numbering of work. And then I'll talk about starting with section A and then B. What do I have to say about numbering of work? Please ensure that if you are attempting in number 5, first, you call it number 5. If you are attempting in number 5 first, call it number 5. That is all. When you attempt number 7, call it number 7. It doesn't matter when you start. Doesn't matter when you start, which number to start from, which number you start with. What is important is numbering it properly. Occasionally, Examiners are very good that he can come and number for you. But I want to tell you that you are at the mercy of the examiner when it comes to that. He may number for you properly, or he may number for you wrongly. After all, he's not the one who has done this work. So why do you expect him to number it properly? But if I have started with number 7, I call it number 7. And I write here solutions to number 7. And the person who is marking my work will look for number 7 and will mark that number 7. When I go to number 1 thereafter, it does not matter. Call it number 1 and answer number 1 properly. The person who is marking number 1 will look for it and will mark it. However, I will add that if you can attempt your work from number 1 in chronological order, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, that is very good also. What does it do? It makes your work easy to see. When I see number 1, I know number 2 comes after. I look for number 2. When I want number 10, I run very fast. I know 3, 4, 5 until 10 will be the other end. That makes the work of the examiner very simple. But that will work for someone who is very gifted, that they can attempt all numbers properly. But if for me, the number that is very good for me is 7, there's no reason as to why I start with the number 1. There are 2 advantages if I start with 7 that I know very well. One advantage is that I will bias the examiner positively. This examiner who comes and sees that I have 4 marks here, number 7, I have 4 marks for number 1. I have another 4 marks for number 3. He comes here and notices that I have another 4 marks somewhere here for number 3. Number 3. I have my worker there. And the examiner notices that still I have 4 marks there. Now, when it comes to number 8 or number 5, when it comes to number 5, and he notices I don't have 4 marks, he is going to be very keen with my work to ensure that he gives me the marks that I deserve. Why? I've already biased him. He knows this is a good guy. So when he gives me 2 marks, for example, he will be saying, how come this guy has 2? This guy is already good. Is it true that he has 2? So he will look at these 2 properly before taking it. And chances are very high that he's going to mark you properly. But the moment you bias an examiner negatively, the first number, no score, the second number, no score, the third number, no score. Now, when you go to the one where you deserve marks, you will already have tuned him that you don't deserve marks. So somewhere, somehow, he's going to be very keen to say, how come here? Chances are very high that he may cross even where he will have crossed or where he doesn't have to cross. Chances are very high that he's going to start thinking about you as maybe you copied, because he's looking at, this guy has been failing. Is it true that he now deserves these marks? So Be very careful. The number you start with, because it is to your advantage. Because it biases the examiner either positively or negatively. And I'd be very glad if you bias the examiner positively rather than negatively. I want to add finally, but lightly, that it is very good to start with section A and then B. For a number of reasons, which I may not have to give here, but I can give some of them. One, the very first reason is that section A comes before section B. Why do you want to change it? The people who change and start with section B usually say that section B has more marks. Because it has 60, section A has 40. But I want to add here that these 40 marks are very, very important. And these are simple marks to get. So please, do not play with those 40 marks. And you give them the due respect. To me, a person who is going to excel starts by doing very well in section A. The second reason that I may give is that it is normal for everyone or for anyone to panic. It is very, very normal for a person to panic. Now, what is my issue here? If you panic and you are doing a section B number and you mess up with it, you are messing up with marks. You are playing with 12 marks. But if you panic with a section A number, you are playing with a few marks. And anyway, section A numbers do not require a lot. Chances are very high that you're going to pass it. You don't need a lot of concentration. You don't need a lot of thinking. You don't need a lot of... You will find that it is very easy for you to answer a section A number properly. And that will give you comfort. It will give you the confidence that you want to acquire during this paper, so that you go with this confidence to section B and answer section B properly. The words are not very many. The questions are, the words are short, these are short questions, not very many words. Whatever is asked is so clear. Please start with section A questions so that you get the stamina that you need to carry with you as you go to section B. Allow me here to take you just briefly to special cases. Suppose my work is graph. If you have to present any work on a graph, the first bullet I would have given is please use a graph paper. Please use a squared paper. If you have to present a graph of any nature, use squared paper or use graph papers. If you present this work on your ruled normal ordinary sheet of paper, you get no mark from that. I repeat, if you present any graphical work, if you draw a graph in statistics and you draw it on this ruled paper, you get no mark from there. So please ensure that if the work is graphical, you put up your hand and request for a square paper. Then I have said, use a pencil.
Excuse me. Hello.
Because of the advantages
Come.
that pencils have, you can change. If you use a pen, if you use ink, nobody is going to punish you. By the way, when you use a pen, your work will be marked properly. The only disadvantage is to you that the moment you make a slight error and you want to rub, you can't rub the ink. So it may require you to go on and use and redo the work and repeat. I want to say, where you have straight edges, where you have straight lines, use a ruler. If you want to show a straight line from a point to another, use a ruler. You are not going to show a straight line from one point to another point with your free hand. Not at all. This will not be given marks. Use a ruler if you have to use a straight, if you have to present a straight edge. From there to the other end. Let it be with a ruler. The moment you start showing a straight line, a straight edge with a free hand, you are not going to get marks, however good you will have presented that work. This will not give you marks, but this will. Okay, so use a ruler if you have to give straight edges. But then, if it is any kind of curve, if you are drawing any kind of curve of any nature, please use freehand. If I'm to draw a curve of any nature, whether sharp or what, use freehand. This is very okay. It won't come out very smoothly. Do your best to ensure that it is smooth enough. But it is very okay not to even come out so smoothly. And nobody will do what? Nobody will punish you for it not being very smooth. The quadratic curves which we are so used to. Let them be drawn with freehand. The moment you put straight edges, the moment you put a ruler in this, chances of it being found out are very many, and chances of you losing those marks are very many. So don't leave anything to chance. Use a ruler. If the work that is supposed to be done is what? The work to be done is a straight edge. And if it is not, then what you do Okay. I was reading Innocent's message, but I can continue. That let it be a straight. If it is a straight edge, use a ruler. If it is graphical work, put it on a graph paper. It is to your advantage to use a pencil. And if it is not, if it is a curve, let it be freehand. You can draw a curve. It may not come out so nicely, but it will attract marks. You do not have. Just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Am I still connected? Because someone else again called me.
You are still clear.
Okay, thank you very much. We could continue, and I was just giving that small thing about the graphical work. I want also to say a small thing on symbols. We have symbols, particular symbols, like for vector work. Please use the symbols. Indicate the vector as a vector. I don't want to commit myself here to say that the moment you miss out symbols, it will be crossed. That's not true. Sometimes it may be crossed, other times it may be left, you may be forgiven. But what I want to emphasize here is the fact that you are at the mercy of an examiner. The examiner can come out, the examiners can come out and agree and say, let us be strict on symbols. Examiners can come out and say, this time you don't mind so much about the symbols. So you are not so sure of where you lie. You are at an advantage if you write the symbols well every time you attempt numbers where there's those symbols. If you use more than a booklet, please put them together properly. We are usually given pieces of threads. Now, during the transportation, one booklet flies over to this side and you can't tell which one is the first booklet, which one is the last booklet. But the examiner should be able to see the numbers, whether the booklets are which way. What I would advise here is that, please, if you use 2 booklets, you use that first page of a new booklet. Why? Because the moment someone goes to the new booklet and does not see worker in the first page, he may think that you didn't attempt numbers in that booklet, because you have hidden it in the middle of the booklet. And you will suffer the consequences. you will be the loser. It would be very good also if in a new booklet you are starting a new number. Though sometimes you have no choice. You can end the booklet when you still have a few lines to write and you want to write them in the new booklet. And yes, go ahead and write. But chances of those few lines disappearing in the new booklet are many. An examiner who has been following this work is very much likely to stop in this other booklet where there is much work. And someone will ask me, does it mean you can leave the other work and not mark the other side? No, it will be marked. But connecting it to this one, sometimes it takes someone a little time to look for this and put it properly with the other. And I want to tell you, examiners do not have that time. I have already given you an examiner's day. Waking up early, sleeping late, and doing the same the next day and the next day. That experience is not very enjoyable to an old citizen. Whereas he does not intend to punish you. There are some natural, what would I call it? There are some things that may come automatically just because someone is tired and so on and so forth. So if I am totaling and I notice some work, a few lines which I can't connect to the where they came from, I don't know. I look at them and it is very easy for me to look at them as meaningless. And you may find chances are high that you may find me doing crossing out such work and not putting it anywhere. So please, if you can avoid work that spills over to another booklet, please avoid it. If you can't, you hand in your booklets fixed properly and you continue to pray. Otherwise, they land into the hands of a very tired examiner who may not follow properly. You may lose. We are usually on the first page, there is a grid. Usually on the first page, there is a grid. And they usually write there for official use. This is where examiners indicate your scores. For mathematics, what we usually have is for mathematics, what we usually have is something official use. You have a kind of table. Where you have numbers attempted, where you have marks scored, and then you also have the initials of the examiner, or what you may call the signature. So you have that kind of table. And someone has to indicate whatever details they have to indicate there. Now, we always write from number 1 when we are entering whatever is here, we write from number 1 up to number 17. I actually want to tell you that you will notice that all those numbers do not fit. So we even add to that table that is given. And we add a piece and we write there, these are the numbers somehow. This is the number. So you find the number 1, number 2 in order. Number 3, number 4. We write number 5 until when we reach number 17. That's what we usually do. So we enter the marker here. This is for mark. And then here are the symbols. Examiner. This here is for the examiner number. Every examiner has their number that identifies them and examiner number and initials are usually here. So I will write here my number and I write here my initials. And I put the mark here for number 1 that you scored it for. And then I'll total up at the end of this. So there's that bit which is for official use. Some people help examiners and go ahead and put in here that I started with the number 10. Then from number 10, I went to number 2. Then after that, I went to number 13. Then I did the 4. Then I did the 15. People do those bad manners. That is not allowed. And actually, when I find you have done this, I have no right to look for a cane and look for you. You are very much aware. But what I will do, I will cross out what you have written and try to look for space where to squeeze number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 again. And this is making this work not neat. And it is very easy for someone to enter in the wrong place because it is not clear. And when they enter in the wrong place, then chances of missing out are also more. When I come to enter my number 5, I find someone has already entered in that, a marker for number 5. I find someone has already entered a mark in that space because he read it poorly. And so I don't have where to put mine. And I look at, I think someone entered my mark. Now, what happens if it so happens that actually it is the same mark? I will just go thinking that someone entered for me your mark, which may not be the right case. So leave either you leave this space free, this space here, or if you want to write there, write from number 1. The space stops at 15. Write from number 1 to 15, and even add, because for us we add if you want. Because sometimes you are in the paper and you find the paper was easy, you have written everything that you wanted to write. Now you are there. You can't be allowed to sleep. So you find that you have nothing to do and you want to help the examiner. No problem. If you want to help this examiner, write there the right things from number 1 to number 17 for a math booklet. Of course, the math booklets are like others, but I am saying if you are answering mathematics and you want you are finding nothing to write, then you write from number 1 up to number 17 instead of you misusing that what? Instead of you writing the wrong things in that space, and then the examiner comes to cross them, and then it is not clear what he writes, and then it is to your disadvantage. You never can tell where it may, when it may affect you. I want to say generally that, what else should I say? I want to say generally, those are some of the smaller things that you may find unnecessary. Examiners do their best, but I have said they are human. And I want to tell you, these are senior members of this country. These are grown-ups. Some of us are old. And so we don't intend to do any bad, but you may find someone doing something wrong, not because they wanted, doing something, whatever, not because they wanted. You don't give anyone a chance because of the way you present your work. Thank you very much for listening. I thought I would get a chance to make a little presentation of 1 or 2 numbers. I hope you will give me the chance, but before that, can I allow for questions? That you come in and ask questions as you may wish. If there are questions, please, may I see hands up? And I take these questions. Thank you very much. Do I have any questions, or I should continue with just getting a few? Any question? Okay. If there are no questions, then I can just get a chance in a few minutes and share with you just randomly 1 or 2 questions. Let me see if I can find something here very fast. I hope you can, everyone has a chance to raise their hand up. I don't want you to say I did not allow you. I don't know whether you are free. Okay, I think I find 1 or 2 numbers and we go through them together. This is a vector number somewhere. I have this vector number here, and I can go ahead and we share this vector number. Okay, there are questions here. I hope, I don't know. Someone is saying graphs use pencil or pen. I don't know whether it's answering something. Again, it's a question on a fresh sheet of paper. Is it applicable to all questions or only section B? That's a question. Thank you very much. Oh, I've seen someone type a question in the chats. I thought you would put up your hand, but it's okay. Still, I get it. Begin each question on a fresh sheet of paper. Is it applicable to all questions or only section B questions? I say that is applicable to all questions. Let me first answer that. To all questions. But I said you will not be punished for not starting on a fresh sheet of paper. The only advantage it has is that it makes your work clear. When someone is looking for number 13, it is very easy to find it if it is starting on a fresh sheet of paper. When I was talking about numbering, there is something that I did not talk about very well. There are people who put their numbers somewhere in the body of the work. Let me share this sheet here. You find someone whose work is here. Sorry. You find someone whose work is, find someone has work here. This is the work. And you find a person writing number 11. This is a common practice. Very many people like it. Find the number 11 somewhere there. I want to tell you, thank you very much. Some others even write the word number in words. Find someone writing here number. Number 11. Please, I want to tell you that this word is all this number is very easy to mix with these solutions that you have down here. And it is not good practice. May I request that you number your work the way we number our work and our usual numbering. I know very well that all of you are very much aware. We always write here. Please, if you are asked numbering 11, put it here, rather than putting it in the body of the work. When you put it in the body of the work, somewhere where I have written it here, it disappears. It is not easy to see. As someone looks for number 11, you find them opening the pages and opening the pages. And then it is after sometimes that they notice that you have to look at the top of the number. You don't even know where the top of the number is. Because someone has the number continuing, then gets a space somewhere. You can't even know where the top of the number is. So please, it is very good practice to indicate the numbers on the side near the what? The margin. That's our usual thing. So don't run away from it. Maintain it. What if I'm drawing shapes in graph work? Should I use a ruler or not? I don't know which shapes you are drawing in graph work, but I said if the lines that you are drawing are supposed to be straight, use a ruler. If the lines that you are drawing are not straight, that is when we use a freehand. Can a pie chart be drawn in the graph paper? Nobody will bother. Nobody will bother. If you draw the pie chart in the graph paper, it's no big issue. It will be marked. All the work that you can write on in a booklet, you can also write on a graph paper. There's nothing wrong. Maybe something that I did not again emphasize. If you are doing any number, let me give an example of 11 that I have on your screen here. If you are doing number 11, and the number 11 has a graph, it would be to your advantage to put all the solutions to number 11 on that graph, rather than you answering in a booklet and then another piece is on the graph. Usually, very many times you have that other thing of showing, you even write in your work, go to the graph, directing me to the graph. Can you please write the whole other solution on the graph? There's nothing wrong on the squared paper. There's nothing wrong with that. So if number 11 has a graph, put all the solutions to number 11 on the graph paper. It becomes an advantage. You are continuing with the idea of make sure the solution is not discontinued and then part is here, another part is the other side. Make sure the solution is all in one easy space to find. So number 11 has part of the work on the graph. Put the rest of the work on the graph. It will be very good for you. It will be to your advantage. I wanted to get one number here also. There are some hands up. Someone told me some hands up. I think I had given up. Are they still up? Let me check.
Yes. Robert?
No. I get it. Hello. Can you get me? No.
Okay. Seems Robert is not there. Can we continue?
Can you get me? I need to. Can you get me now? Oh.
Stephen, have you gotten what is said there?
No, he's not so clear.
It's not so clear. Okay.
Okay. Are you getting me now?
Robert, kindly type in the chat. Kindly type in the chat.
He wanted to know about the mathematical tables, whether they can be used, whether students can be allowed to do.
Okay. Teacher Henry, his question is about log tables.
Yes, please.
So it's not clear. I've just had log tables, something like that.
Robert, what do you want to? What I could say about log tables now is what? If the question requires you to use mathematical tables, please use mathematical tables. We have all along, very many times we teach you that you can dodge and use a calculator. But these are things that are special. You can use a calculator, but it's also very easy for someone to note that you are not using mathematical tables. If you are only picking figures from the calculator, that could be good. But if not, please use, and there's nothing wrong. They have told you use mathematical tables. Why do you bother using other things? Let us be, we call it integrity. Where you do the right thing, whether someone is seeing or not. Use the tables. What is wrong? Read the figures from there and use the tables. And you will not have any issues whatsoever. What I know with a calculator, it requires that you are very sharp or that you master very well, because some people can play about somewhere, somehow, and lose it. That is one of the things I can say about mathematical tables. And I want to say, where they tell you, please do not use a calculator or tables, chances are very high for you to identify this is indices. So I'm going to use rules of indices. This is, I am going to factorize to pick out common factors. Look out for what you are going to do. Otherwise, if they tell you, do not use a calculator and something is to do with multiplication, and again, you multiply it, only that you are not using a calculator to multiply. You are multiplying, you are taking a whole page to multiply. You are not being keen there. By the time they stop you from using the calculator, they want you to realize something else that can be of help or that you can use. And in most of the cases, it will be something to do with either you are getting factors, or you are getting, or you find it is indices and you're going to use rules of indices or any other. Those are the two that I can see very fast. But please do not say, I'm not using a calculator. I am multiplying from my head. I am multiplying from, that will not work. As someone is saying, can we use only graph papers for drawing bearings? I want to say that when you use graph papers, you are at an advantage because the north from at one point is the same as the north at the other. Those who are working, drawing the bearings are not on a graph paper. You must be very keen. If I came here and this is the point and I started here and I went to whatever those degrees are, when I come to the next point, my north is not the important thing because it is not going to be easy for me to draw a north that is the same as the north here. But the important thing is now to know this angle. If I can tell that angle from this side, for example, then it becomes very easy for me to go to the right direction. But don't start now from my north here and my north here. If you are not using a graph paper, the north and another north are not going to be the same. But when you use the graph paper, the north from at a point and another point and another point will be the same north. And that will be good for you. You can go with that. So it is to your advantage and it is fast and it is easy if you use graph papers during the time when you're working on bearings. Yes,
Teacher Henry?
Yes, please.
Yes, let me request you to summarize other concepts. I think we shall be completing them next week. If you grant us.
Stephen, yes, I had actually received that message. Only that there were a few, there was that question, but I am very grateful to these people here who have tuned in. I can't mention all of them, but I'm so grateful that they are there, that they have given us an opportunity to reach out to them. Thank you very much. I've seen a number of schools. I didn't know that we were going to meet schools. Mr. Stephen, when we had our talk, I did not know that we were. I want to apologize. I usually keep time, but today I failed. I was running up and down. I had other commitments which disturbed me before we started, and I want to apologize for that. I also want to appreciate you, Stephen, for giving me this opportunity to go ahead and share. Thank you very much for the consideration. I know there are very many people who take it, but the fact that you said let's Let's have Teacher Henry. It's a consideration that I'm not taking for granted. I thank you very much. I thank you for this arrangement, always. Thank you very much. We have, I think we can always benefit those people that we can reach out to. And for our arrangements for help, please, I thank you. Thank you very much, help, giving us this opportunity, giving this, the learners the opportunity, and giving everybody a chance to access the best. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, and thank you very much. I'll be very grateful if I get another opportunity. I shared with Stephen that as I prepared for this, I lost my pen. I had a board I could write where I could write, but I did have a pen that I could use. And I can say I haven't been my best. But when I get another opportunity, I'll be very, very grateful. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Teacher Henry. We cannot thank you enough. We want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for taking us through this presentation. Dear students, there is a lot we have learned in this session. You may know the mathematics, but because of the small errors that you make, you may lose out the marks. Teacher Henry has taken us through. He has showed us the points that make us lose marks. And please, as we go into our mocks, let's not make those errors that will cost us. In case that he has emphasized that in case you make any mistake on a number, do not cross. So let us take those things very seriously, such that we can, at the end of the day, go away with distinctions. We want to thank all the schools that have connected from the different parts of the country. We want to thank all the teachers that have been on the call, Teacher Heber William, and all Teacher Elisa Masaba from Mbale SS. We are really very grateful, and all other teachers that have been able to connect their students, who have brought their students online. We are really very grateful. At this moment, allow me to invite Mr. Ronald Dungu to make a word, to say a word to us, and then he finally closes our session. Mr. Ronald, you are most welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kaziba, and thank you everybody who has been online. It's been a wonderful evening sharing mathematics across the country, and I hope that we will continue like this. Let us continue closing this learning gap, and whoever has learned something here, please make sure that your neighbor, either at school or when you go on holiday, gets to know about that principle you have learned. I want to thank all these people helping us with this holistic learning platform, Research Education Network Uganda, UICT, and all the teachers in the different schools who are making this possible. And to the students, please let us work hard, because your success is our success. As the Ministry of Education, we are happy that this is happening, and we'll continue to support the closing of this learning gap. With that, I want to declare this session closed and wish you the best until tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Teacher Henry, kindly end the meeting.